He gave my childhood home to my brother. After I paid his mortgage for 5 years, when I was 10 years old, I made my dad a promise that one day I'd buy him a house. It was the kind of thing a little girl says with stars in her eyes and a heart full of love for a man who read her bedtime stories and picked her up when she fell off her bike. I didn't know back then how money worked, or mortgages, or what kind of man my dad truly was. I just knew we lived in a 2-bedroom rental where the roof leaked every spring, and the walls had patches of black mold. And I knew my dad worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat after my mom died. So I promised. He smiled and ruffled my hair. Just stay in school, he said, and I did. God, I did everything. I graduated early. Took on debt for college. Hustled 3 jobs after graduation. Skipped vacations, cut back on eating out, and lived in a shoebox apartment in Queens just to keep saving. And when I finally got my big break, a job at a tech startup that IPO'd, the first thing I did wasn't buy myself a car or a condo. It was this. I called my dad and told him I was buying him a house. You serious? He said, choking up. You're something else, Ellie. I didn't buy it outright, not then, but I put the down payment, set up the mortgage under my name, and told him not to worry about a thing. I'd cover the monthly payments. I wanted him to have peace in his retirement. My brother, Jordan, didn't say much when it happened. Just gave me that half laugh he always does, the one that sounds like he's about to ask for something. He was the golden child, always had been. He had the charm, the easygoing attitude, the way of making every room fall in love with him. Meanwhile, I was the responsible one. The overachiever. The Ellie will handle it sibling. At first, it felt good. My dad called me every week to say thanks. He sent me photos of the garden he started in the backyard. He had a place he could finally call home, and I made that happen. Then Jordan moved in. It was supposed to be temporary, just until he gets back on his feet, Dad said. That was 2 months in. Then it became 6. Then a year. Jordan didn't pay rent. Didn't help with utilities. He was finding himself, which apparently meant sleeping in late and bringing different girls over every other weekend. Bit my tongue. Dad kept making excuses. He's been through a rough patch, he'd say. You know how the job market is. And yeah, I knew, because I worked my ass off every day to keep paying that mortgage while Jordan played video games in the living room I furnished. I told myself to let it go. Family is family. And Dad loved us both, even if he showed it differently, right? But then came the phone call that changed everything. It was a Thursday afternoon when I got the call. I was in the middle of a Zoom meeting, half listening to our product manager drone on about back-end optimization when my phone buzzed with Dad's name. I almost let it go to voicemail. He usually just wanted to chat about his tomato plants or how annoying the neighbors were. But something in my gut made me answer. Hey, Dad, what's up? I asked, muting my laptop. There was a pause. Then his voice, shaky and too cheerful to be real. Hey, kiddo. Just wanted to tell you something before you hear it from anyone else. I froze. Okay, I said slowly. What happened? Well, I transferred the house to Jordan. For a few seconds, I thought I misheard. Or maybe he meant something else. Maybe Jordan was taking over some utilities. Maybe Dad had added his name to a document for legal reasons. But no, you what? I said, I put the house in Jordan's name, he repeated, like it was no big deal. He's been doing a lot lately, and I figured, it's time I passed it on. Dad, I said, heart pounding, the house is in my name. I've been paying for it. Every month. For 5 years. Technically, it was in your name, yeah, he said carefully. But I had my lawyer draw up a transfer deed. Since I live here, and you're not around, it just made more sense. I couldn't breathe. So you took my name off the deed? Now don't make this a thing, he said quickly. Jordan needs some stability. He's trying to get his life together. You've got your own place. You're doing well. This doesn't hurt you. Didn't hurt me, I wanted to scream. I wanted to reach through the phone and shake him. Instead, I stood there, gripping the edge of my desk so hard my knuckles went white. Did Jordan put you up to this? I asked. No. Of course not. It was my decision, he said. I just thought. I mean, you said you bought the house for me. Not for yourself. Right? That was it. That one sentence gutted me more than anything else he could have said, because yes, I had said that. I had bought the house for him. But I didn't buy it so he could give it away like some hand-me-down sweater. I didn't pay the mortgage, month after month, just to see the keys handed to my brother, the same brother who never lifted a finger, never offered to contribute, never thanked me. I need to go, I said flatly, and hung up. I stared at my screen for a long time. The Zoom call had ended, and I hadn't even noticed. The betrayal hit like a freight train. Not just because of what he'd done, but because of how easily he did it. Like I didn't matter. Like my efforts, my sacrifices, were nothing more than a footnote in his Golden Boy's redemption arc. But that was the moment something inside me snapped. And I knew exactly what I had to do. I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying the conversation in my head, each word twisting deeper like a knife. You said you bought it for me. That line hit me hardest. The sheer manipulation in it, like I owed him my success. Like it was somehow wrong of me to expect a little respect, or, I don't know, basic ownership rights. By 6 a.m., I was sitting at my kitchen table with 2 cups of coffee, my laptop open, and a fire in my chest. If Dad really signed over the house to Jordan, it would have left a legal trail. And as the original mortgage holder, I had the right to know what was happening. So I pulled up every mortgage statement, insurance document, and property tax record I had. And yep, my name was still on the loan, but when I checked the county's property records, that's when my heart dropped. There it was, plain as day, a transfer deed, recorded 2 weeks ago. The grantee? Jordan Thomas Reyes. My brother. The same man who once pawned our mom's necklace for beer money now legally owned the house I had paid for, and it got worse. The fine print revealed that the property had been transferred as a gift. A gift. No money exchanged. No equity considered. Just a nice little handoff from Daddy Dearest to his beloved son. The kicker? My dad had forged my signature on the quitclaim deed. I stared at the screen, feeling like I was going to throw up. That was fraud. Straight up illegal. I didn't even need to be a lawyer to know that. I had never signed that document, never agreed to relinquish the title, and now, on paper, I was erased from my own investment. Called my friend Megan, who worked in real estate law. When I told her everything, she went quiet for a long moment, then said, "Ellie, you need to lawyer up. Like, yesterday." She walked me through the basics. We'd need to contest the deed, report the forgery, and possibly sue both my father and brother for damages. It wouldn't be pretty. Family court never is. But if I had proof, and I did, I had a case. But here's the thing, I didn't just want the house back, I wanted the truth to come out. I wanted everyone, especially the people who thought I was too intense or too dramatic, to see what kind of man my father really was. What kind of person Jordan had become. I wanted them to feel the weight of what they'd done to me. So I made a plan. Step 1, lawyer up. Step 2, let them dig their own graves. Step 3, well, that would be my favorite part. I didn't confront them right away. It's what they were probably expecting, a furious phone call, a screaming match, maybe a tearful monologue about betrayal. But I wasn't going to give them that satisfaction. No, I wanted them relaxed. Comfortable. Confident in their scam, because people like my dad and Jordan? They get careless when they think they've won.my attorney, Lisa, sharp, relentless, exactly what I needed, took one look at the forged signature and said, "We've got them." We filed paperwork to challenge the transfer of ownership. Since my name was still on the mortgage and I never consented to the gift deed, it was a strong case. But we needed more. Best case scenario, Lisa said, is catching them admitting to it in their own words. That's where I came in. The next weekend, I paid a surprise visit. I pulled up to the house, my house, and parked across the street. It looked different already. Jordan had painted the shutters a hideous matte black and let the grass grow to jungle height. There were beer cans on the porch. I walked up to the door and knocked. Jordan opened it wearing basketball shorts, no shirt, and a lazy grin like he didn't have a care in the world. Well, well, he said, arms spread. Look who decided to visit the family estate. I smiled. Mind if I come in? He shrugged and stepped aside. Make yourself at home. Or should I say our home? I stepped inside. The living room looked like a frat house exploded. Fast food wrappers, an ashtray overflowing, and a cracked flat screen blaring sports. I bit my tongue and took a seat on the couch, carefully planting my phone face down on the coffee table, audio recording already running. Dad was in the kitchen making eggs, whistling like nothing was wrong. Hey, sweetheart, he called. Nice of you to stop by. Figured we should talk, I said calmly. You know, about the house. The air shifted. Jordan flopped onto the recliner and smirked. Still upset about that? Come on, Ellie. You always said it was for Dad. What's the problem now? The problem, I said slowly, is that someone forged my signature on a legal document. Neither of them flinched. Ellie, Dad said, don't make this ugly. You said you didn't want anything in return. We thought it would just simplify things. Jordan's living here, I'm getting older. It's just easier this way. You mean easier than asking me? Jordan scoffed. You're always so dramatic. You make 6 figures. What do you care about one little house? That exact line was what I needed, because in that moment, they gave me what I came for: entitlement, indifference, and a complete lack of remorse. All captured, crystal clear, on audio. I stood up, smiled, and said, thanks for the chat. Dad frowned. You're leaving already? Oh, don't worry, I said, walking toward the door. I'll be back. But next time, I wouldn't come alone. 2 weeks later, the court papers hit their mailbox. Lisa moved fast. She'd filed a civil suit against both my father and Jordan for fraudulent transfer of property and damages, with a request to void the quitclaim deed entirely. We also filed a complaint with the county clerk about the forged signature, and just like that, the house was flagged under investigation. The lawsuit hit harder than I expected. Not just legally, but emotionally. Jordan sent me a string of texts in all caps. Are you serious? You're ruining everything. Dad's blood pressure is through the roof. Ignored them. Then Dad left me a voicemail. Ellie. Look, I know you're angry. I'm sorry. I didn't think it through. But suing your own father? Is that really who you want to be? The guilt trip stung, but only for a second. Because for once in my life, I wasn't shrinking. I wasn't swallowing the hurt to keep the peace. I was finally standing up for myself, and it felt good. Lisa scheduled the preliminary hearing. We submitted the recorded audio as evidence. She also had a handwriting expert compare the signature on the quitclaim deed to my known signatures from the mortgage application. It wasn't even close. The judge allowed the case to move forward. My father and Jordan were officially being sued. Word got around fast in our small hometown. Suddenly, relatives who'd always played neutral started calling me "My Aunt Karen, I can't believe they did that to you, honey. My cousin Rob, your dad said you gifted him the house. That's what he told everyone. Even my old high school friend Amy, I thought you were exaggerating. I didn't know they stole it." That was the best part. I didn't have to shout anymore. The truth was out, and it was loud enough on its own. Jordan, meanwhile, started freaking out. First, he tried to negotiate. "What if I buy you out?" he texted. "I can give you like 10 grand. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. 10 grand wouldn't have covered a single year of mortgage payments. Then he tried guilt. "You're tearing this family apart." That line always comes out when the scapegoat starts fighting back, but here's what they didn't realize. I wasn't just trying to win a lawsuit, I wanted them to feel it. To see what it's like when the person they always underestimated turns out to be their worst nightmare, prepared, determined, and absolutely done being used, and as court day crept closer, I had one final surprise waiting in the wings. Because you know what else I'd been doing, digging into Jordan's finances, and what I found, let's just say, it was going to blow this case wide open. I wasn't planning to dig into Jordan's finances, but curiosity got the better of me. And I figured, if he had something to hide, maybe it would help my case. So I called in a favor. Megan, my real estate law friend, had a buddy in forensic accounting. A few emails and one NDA later, she had access to Jordan's public records, business filings, and credit activity. What she found, let's just say my brother wasn't quite the getting his life together golden boy my dad painted him to be. First off, Jordan had 3 open credit cards in collections. He also took out a personal loan 6 months ago, and defaulted after 2 payments. He hadn't filed taxes in 2 years. And worst of all, he tried to take out a home equity line of credit on my house. Yes. Less than a month after the fake deed was recorded, he'd applied for a $40,000 HELOC, which was denied, thank God, because the mortgage was still in my name. But the fact that he even tried? That was enough to make Lisa's jaw drop. He's not just freeloading, she said. He's trying to profit off your property. This is predatory behavior. Lisa filed an emergency motion to present the HELOC attempt as evidence of bad faith, a legal term meaning they acted with dishonest intent. The judge approved it. At this point, Jordan's attorney, who looked like he hadn't slept in a week, tried to settle. He offered to sign the house back to me if I dropped the lawsuit, but now I was the one smirking. Too late, I said. I don't want your offer. I want the court record. Because I wasn't just protecting my house anymore. I was protecting future me from ever being gaslit again. Court was scheduled for the following Tuesday. I flew home the day before, heart racing, palms sweaty, but weirdly calm. Like I'd already won, because in my heart, I knew I'd taken back control of my own life. That night, I drove past the house. The porch light was on. Jordan's car was in the driveway. I imagined him sitting inside, drinking a beer, still convinced I was bluffing, had no idea that his financial skeletons were about to be paraded in front of a judge. No idea that I'd spent 5 years paying for something he thought he could just take, but tomorrow, the courtroom would decide, and I was ready. So ready. The courtroom wasn't dramatic like in the movies. No banging gavels, no yelling. Just beige walls, buzzing fluorescent lights, and the quiet, tense shuffling of paper, but emotionally? It was war. I sat at the petitioner's table, suit pressed, hair up, hands folded, calm on the outside, even though my stomach was doing backflips. Lisa sat beside me, stone-faced and brilliant as ever. Across the aisle, Jordan looked like a wreck, unshaven, wrinkled button-up, chewing a fingernail like it owed him money. Dad sat beside him, glaring at me with that same disappointed dad face he used when I was 10 and forgot to do the dishes. Too bad. That guilt trip expired. The judge, a sharp-eyed woman named Martinez, opened with the basics: case number, names, claims, etc. Then she asked Lisa to present our side, and Lisa delivered. She started with the timeline: how I had paid every mortgage payment since Dad bought the house, how my name remained on the loan, and how the quitclaim deed mysteriously appeared out of nowhere, forged. Then came the evidence, the handwriting analysis, the property transfer labeled as a gift, and of course, the recorded audio where Jordan dismissed my investment as just one little house. But then Lisa dropped the bombshell. Your Honor, she said, pulling out a folder, we have documentation that the respondent attempted to open a home equity line of credit on the property, despite not being the legal mortgage holder. We believe this proves an intent not just to claim ownership, but to financially exploit the asset for personal gain. Jordan turned white. His lawyer whispered something. Probably you didn't tell me that. Judge Martinez raised an eyebrow. Is this accurate, Mr. Reyes? Jordan mumbled, I didn't go through with it. It didn't even get approved. But you tried, she said. And the mortgage was not in your name. Nor had the plaintiff relinquished ownership, correct? Silence. Then Dad spoke up. Your Honor, it wasn't malicious. We thought it would be simpler this way. Ellie always said she didn't want anything in return. We figured Judge Martinez cut him off. Did your daughter sign the quitclaim deed? Dad stammered, well, no. But then she was defrauded, Mr. Reyes. And that's not simpler. That's illegal. Boom, that was the moment I felt the shift, the way a courtroom leans when it knows who's telling the truth. Lisa sat back. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in a year. Judge Martinez scheduled the ruling for next week, but everyone in that room knew the verdict was already written on the walls. As we left, Jordan wouldn't look at me. But Dad did. He stopped me in the hallway and said, "You really hate me that much?" I looked him straight in the eye. "No," I said. "I just finally love myself more." Then I walked out, not just from the courthouse, but from years of being second-guessed, sidelined, and sacrificed for the golden child, and next week, the house, and my freedom, would officially be mine. The ruling came on a rainy Thursday morning. I sat in Lisa's office, phone on speaker, heart pounding as the court clerk read the decision. My dad and Jordan weren't present. They didn't need to be. Judge Martinez ruled in my favor. The quitclaim deed was nullified. The county was ordered to remove Jordan's name from all property records. I was reinstated as the sole legal owner, and the judge had a few choice words about the attempted fraud, but the part that made my chest actually ache, the judge awarded me damages for emotional distress, legal costs, and 5 years' worth of mortgage payments. I wasn't just getting my house back, I was getting paid. Lisa grinned and leaned back in her chair. Justice served. But truth be told, it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about the shift in power, in respect, in how I saw myself. I drove back to the house that weekend. My house at Jordan was gone. He moved out the day after the ruling, apparently furious and blaming me for ruining everything. Dad didn't return my texts. He didn't apologize. But by then, I had stopped needing him to. I belonged here. Not because I won a court case, but because I earned it, with every paycheck, every sacrifice, every time I put someone else first. No more. Repainted the living room. Replaced the carpet. Donated the old recliner that smelled like beer and entitlement. Bit by bit, I reclaimed this place from every bad memory it held, and made space for the future. A month later, I hosted my first dinner party. Nothing fancy. Just a few friends, some wine, and music that didn't remind me of my childhood. When someone asked about the house, I just smiled. It's a long story, I said. But let's just say, it's finally mine. And in that moment, I felt at peace, not the kind that comes from silence, but the kind that follows a storm. When you've stood your ground. When you've lost what didn't serve you. When you've finally chosen yourself, no matter how messy it got, because sometimes family doesn't fail you all at once, they do it slowly, over years, with little betrayals you're expected to swallow. Until one day, you spit it back out and say, no more. That was the day I stopped being the daughter who kept giving, and became the woman who finally said enough. The end. If you liked the story, subscribe to our channel and share your impressions in the comments. We try to post new stories every day.